Every winter, in every neighborhood, somebody leaves their Christmas lights up and running throughout the first few months of the year, and the neighbors who disapprove of this would argue to take down your lights. It's a very straightforward argument, aside from the fact that nobody ever really says this to their neighbor's face, but there is, nevertheless, a counter-argument. And the best place to begin is with the following question. Where did this tradition come from in the first place? A lot of aspects of Christmas as we know it today were assimilated from other traditions, and this particular tradition of lighting up the darkness is one of those aspects. Centuries ago, throughout Northern Europe, Norsemen would mark the darkest days of the year, the winter solstice, with a festival known as Yule. Fathers and sons would haul the largest log that they could find into the village and burn what they called the Yule log. Pine trees were brought inside as a symbol of surviving the winter, since pine trees don't die in cold weather. Candles were lit, holly wreaths were hung, and a giant feast was had. Does any of this sound familiar? The first day of winter is the shortest day of the year. Each day that follows is a little bit longer than the last. Thus, Yuletide was a time to celebrate light and rebirth in the face of darkness and death. Centuries later, as Christmas gained traction in North America, European immigration saw these December Yuletide traditions catch on themselves and eventually become associated with Christmas. So here we are in the 21st century, having feasts, putting up holly wreaths, and dragging pine trees indoors just before winter to celebrate a child born in the Middle East. History is fascinating. Now, it goes without saying that for many people, the reason why they put lights up is to celebrate Christmas. But who says these have to be quote-unquote Christmas lights? Christmas is, historically speaking, piggybacking on winter solstice celebrations, which were all intended to make winter a little less depressing. Even though we currently have central heating and entertainment out the wazoo, that sentiment is still attractive, because winter is still depressing. The days are still short, many living things still die, and that's still a bummer for a lot of people. Plus, the fact that adults with mortgages would do this to their property in the first place is extraordinary. These lights don't have to celebrate the birth of Christ only. By outward appearance, it would make more sense if they were a Nordic-inspired defiance of the darkness. In short, the idea itself is good, so why be superficial and insist that these can only be Christmas lights? Winter is a drag. Liven it up a bit. Wait a minute, there are a few disclaimers, of course, which need to be mentioned. Obviously, a lot of these decorations are marketed exclusively for Christmas, so many of them do have to be taken down come the new year. These include, but are not limited to, depictions of Santa Claus, reindeer and/or Santa's sleigh, sleigh bells, silver bells, Christmas balls, presents, candy canes, anything with a Santa hat on, menorahs, the nativity scene, Santa Claus paying an aesthetically confusing visit to the nativity scene, elves, nutcrackers, anything that literally spells out Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, and any characters from Christmas specials. You still have to take that stuff down. If you don't, this counter-argument is not for you. But candles, holly wreaths, and plain white or simple colored lights of color ought to be allowed to hang around. Within reason, perhaps we can allow a snowman to stay up, as long as it's generic looking and not Frosty the Snowman. Snowflakes should be alright as well, again, as long as they're generic looking and don't reference Christmas. You might even be able to get away with a pine tree, or at least you should, since pine trees are historically one of the most prominent aspects of Yule, but they have since become patently synonymous with Christmas, so you'll probably have to omit any and all trees as well. But you can keep the lights up, by all means. It's not just that they look nice and make the season a little less dreary, there's a cultural and historical precedent as well. Albeit it's kind of an obscure precedent, now you know about it.
Why you not do the rimshot?
No joke.
Unbelievable.
Red shot! Red shot!